All right, so this time we're going to be taking a look at David Oslow's Panic Station from Stronghold Games. This game falls into one of those genres that's the paranoia game, where you're not really sure if one of the players is out to get you, because in this case they actually are. The setup of this game is you're going into this facility and there's an infestation going on, and it's your job to actually take out the alien infestation. But the problem is that one of you is going to become infected. And that's the guy who's going to be trying to take out the rest of the human team. So the basic setup of the game is you and your android are a team. And you are going to be dropped into this facility to try and hunt down and kill the alien infestation. And all the other players have an android and a human player as well. The characters do have slightly different capabilities. In this case, the human is the only one, or a human is the only one that can actually destroy the nest. The android is there to protect the human. So the android wields weapons and does most of the damage. The game is controlled through action points. So your team starts the game itself with 4 total action points. And those are indicated by these little hand icons in the upper corners of your characters. You'll also note that there's this nice little set of hearts at the top, and that's your health. Each character starts with 4 health. Now, your action points can be used however you choose. If you want to use all 4 of your action points on only one character, that's fine. So that character could do 4 actions. And actions are things like moving from place to place, opening doors, doing searches, that kind of thing. The drawback with using these action points is as you get wounded, you lose them. And in this case, after you go down to 2 action points, or 2 hearts, I should say, 2 health, you get 1 action point on this. So now you only have a total of 3. So of course you want to keep your characters as healthy as possible. And there's ways that you can heal throughout the game and get those points back. The true key to the mechanics of the game is how you set it up initially. This can't be stressed enough. You have to seed the deck correctly to get the play to work the way it's supposed to. In the case of this setup, we have a 4-player game. So within the first 8 cards, it's the number of players times 2, you will have seeded the infection card or host card. The player that draws this, that's the guy. That's the guy who's going to be trying to get the rest of you to be infected and hopefully win the game. The rest of you are going to be truly paranoid about who is going to be the host, while maintaining your team and trying to get to the nest to kill it. The nest can only be killed with fire. So one of the key components of the game is gas. And gas comes in the form of these little gas cans. It can be used for 2 things. One, an infected player is going to try and infect you, bar none. That's their entire job throughout the game. The only way that you can stop an infection is with this gas can. So you might want to keep one of these in your hand just in case you feel that the guy coming into the room with you is going to try and infect you. And that's how the infestation works. As soon as one human player enters the room with another human player, they must exchange 1 card from their hand. So, when you originally set up your hand, you're going to be given 1 gas can, a random search card, and these 3 cards right here. These are your personal infection cards. So if you happen to, in the first round of play or first rounds of play, become the host, when you enter that room, you're probably going to try and slip that player one of these infection cards so that he is then infected. The only way that they can defend is through the use of a gas card. These cards are played face down, so you don't really know what you're exchanging at that point. When I played the game the first time around, I got infected early on, and one of my ploys was, originally I would not try and infect a player. If I entered the room, I'd give him an item card. So the next time I entered the room, he thought I was safe. I infected him. So that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're playing the game. How are you going to actually strategically try and get these people to trade the cards and be infected? Now, there is one caveat. When another player enters, or another human player enters that room, they don't necessarily have to trade a card if they decide to attack you. But that in itself is a little bit weird, because now everybody's a little more paranoid, and maybe he's the infected guy and he's just trying to kill the guy. You never know. So that's a lot of fun too. It is a strategy. The game itself is built through exploration, the actual game board itself. So one of your actions would be spent on exploring if you wanted to, and you would draw a map card or a location card. And you would place these in the orientations that they work the best for you if you're doing the search. And there's some icons in here that indicate different ways that you can utilize the cards in different forms. Like there's some free passes, so you don't use an actual action point to move from one point to another because you got a little free pass here with this type of card. There's some that are specializing in searches, so you can search and another player can get some extra cards as well. As the game goes on and you get different locations, you can get to a computer area which is going to allow you to do a lot of different things. And one of them is you can actually scan for body heat. And that's one of the ways that you can tell who's infected and who's not, is through these scans. There's also a scanner card so you can do personal scans as well, but I think there's only a couple of them in here. The way that works is if you did want to do a scan or you had the capability to do a scan, these two cards are sitting on the side of your play area and they indicate whether you're hot, feverish, or not. Regular human. Infected, not infected. So when somebody scans, you would place a card in the appropriate area, whether you're infected or not, and then it's all done face down, so nobody really knows. And then the cards are tallied and flipped up, and as they're gone through, if there's a couple of infections in there, now everybody is twice as paranoid, and that's awesome. That happened a couple of times during our game, and really enjoyed it. So the game itself moves relatively quickly, and as you're going through, you're going to be acquiring items, and you're going to be acquiring maybe bulletproof vests to protect your guys. And that's one of the things that's really nice, and that's another limiting factor of the game, is the fact that these items kind of control the gameplay as well. Because since your android is the only one that can actually fire, or I should say use a projectile weapon, in this case a gun or a machine gun, they also have to have bullets to do it. So even though you may have that, you may not be able to actually perform the action because you don't have the ammunition. And that also has a limiting factor using that little rotatey mechanic as well. So this card is actually only 4 shots. So you got to keep in mind that you only have 4 shots, and then you got to find another stack of bullets. When you encounter aliens, the aliens will, the turns work in 2 phases. There's the alien phase or the infection phase, in which case a die is rolled and all of these little guys that are on the board move in a specific direction, and the team phase. So as these aliens pop up, they're going to be placed on the board according to what the die roll is. And when they first show up, they're actually pretty weak. Like, it's really only 1 damage to take care of one. But as more and more of them come out, they're going to get harder and harder to kill to a maximum of 2 damage. So it would take 2 shots of a weapon or 2 hits from some kind of item or whatever. It's twice as hard to kill the later aliens as it is the ones in the beginning. And as characters also get more infected, or more characters get infected, that's the entire team trying to work against you. So once the infection starts, it's very, very, very hard for the human players to actually win the game. So it's really challenging at points. Everything else in the game it's packaged very nicely. The cards are great. The art is great. It really gives you a sense of foreboding because the lighting on the cards themselves is kind of mysterious looking. So I really like the game, and I definitely think you should go out and try it.